This is a love story when art met technology and became magic. As a child, I loved to draw and write short stories. I built entire kingdoms out of cardboard and tape. I slept very little and spent my twilight hours writing epic tales or Shakespearean sonnets or drawing comic books or even fine art. Here's an image of Einstein I drew when I was 6 years old. And I was incredibly fortunate to witness the birth of the personal computer. My first was an Atari 600, and it was love at first sight. Code became a kind of romance language for me. I'd build my own adventure games and get lost in the code for days. So I grew up with 1 foot in the arts and 1 foot in technology, 2 completely different worlds. Well, life went on as it does, and I grew up and found myself eventually working at Nike World Headquarters as a lead engineer and designer on their innovation team. It was pure bliss. I met the most amazing people and worked on the most exciting new technology. And then, tragedy. My wife was pregnant with our 5th child, a boy named Cade. But sadly, we discovered that Cade had a fatal genetic disorder and that he wouldn't live very long. In fact, we only had 36 hours with our precious son. Such a brief life, and yet such great impact. You see, Cade's life changed everything for me. It all started when I wrote a song, a conversation between he and I. The first verse and chorus go like this.
My child, would you like to play outside in the backyard where the fall leaves are twirling to the ground? Oh, Dad, don't you know how I would if I could, but I hear the angels calling. So let my little ripple touch your life, touch the world, for it says that I was here.
So let my little ripple touch your life and touch the world, for it says that I was here. Well, Cade's little ripple did more than just touch my life. He ignited my creativity like never before. I finished his song, and within a few months, I couldn't stop. Within a few months, I went on to write 33 songs and an album that I called 33. Now, these songs were stories, and they yearned to become more real. So for each song, I created a fine art piece that brought that song into the physical world. And then for each fine art piece, I created a music video that brought that fine art piece to life, and that's when it happened. My stories, my videos, my songs, my entire art world fell in love with my technological engineering world. And for the first time in my life, these 2 worlds collided into a single, breathtaking experience through the magic of augmented reality. Now, what is augmented reality? Augmented reality is when you look at the physical world, say with your mobile device, and you mix into what you see digital objects that appear real. You mix reality with technology, so reality becomes augmented. Reality becomes more. That's augmented reality. Well, I discovered that through the magic of augmented reality, art can come to life and tell its own story with its own voice. You see, the whole world is made of stories. Movies, they're powerful stories. Music, every song is a story. And books are literally stories. But fine art hasn't had the same kind of compelling storytelling power. And why is that? Well, because movies take time to watch. That's expected. And that's the key. It's like a relationship. The joy is in the journey. Music takes time to listen to, and books take time to read. These are time-based experiences. But fine art often just gets a glance, a fleeting moment, and we stroll to the next piece. So the story, the journey, the relationship remain hidden behind the layers of paint. It's as though fine artists have been stuck with a single frame from a movie or a single note from a song, leaving us to wonder, what are they saying? What do they mean? What was that smile? But now, for the first time in all of human history, art can touch your heart with all of the power of movies, music, and literature. Art can now be a time-based experience where the joy is in the journey. Think about it. You can fall in love with art in a way you never dreamed possible. Art can captivate you, just like your favorite movie, music, or your favorite book. Through the magic of augmented reality, art can speak its truth and fill you with wonder. Thanks to Cade's ripple, my two worlds have become one. And now when you look at the art that I create, with the app that I created, magic happens. Consider Martin Luther King. When you look at this portrait on your wall with my app, it comes to life. You can watch his face being painted right before your eyes as the room you're standing in is transformed into an alley from 1950s Birmingham. And you can walk around in this alley, interact with things, and learn about the life of Martin Luther King. Consider Draconis. This abstract painting on your wall, when you look at it with the app, the colors come off the canvas and hang in the air. And you can walk around and see these colors from different angles until when you get to the right angle, they magically become what they were meant to be. And you can tap the dragon's head and he breathes fire into your room. Consider the wave. This looks like a single painting. But really it's 10 different paintings layered one on top of the next, like chapters in a story of love and sacrifice. When you look at this painting with my app, this is what you experience.
The story goes that an old man lived on the northern coast of Japan. He was a fisherman and worked the sea his entire life. He lived on a high hill that overlooked a quiet cove where a weather-worn dock reached out into calm waters. He and his closest friends had built that dock many years ago, and from it they set out every morning, each in their own craft, to haul in the day's catch. But one day, the fisherman stayed home. He'd never missed a day of fishing so long as he could remember, but he just didn't feel like going today. So he didn't. He watched from home as the sun began to rise and his friends set out into the sea. Then he spent some time working on things around the house. It was a modest home, but it was his. It had belonged to his father before him and his father's father before that. He cleaned and organized and fixed a few things that were bugging him. And around noon he went outside to watch his friends return, their boats filled with bounty. But he saw something else, too, out on the sea. A white line reached from the west to the east, a tsunami wave. The old man was terrified. He screamed, but his friends could not hear. They were on the dock, unloading their boats, oblivious to the danger. He screamed louder and jumped up and down and waved his arms in the air, but they did not notice. He started to run for the road that would lead him down to the cove, but stopped. There wasn't enough time. The wave would get there before he did. So without hesitation, he ran into his home and grabbed every flammable substance he could find and doused the place. Then he lit a match and set his home on fire. He knew he couldn't reach his friends in time, but if they saw his house burning, and if they came running to save him, they'd escape the tsunami wave. From the dock, his friends spotted the billow of smoke and the bright tongues of fire as the house began to burn. They dropped everything and ran with all their strength up the high hill just before a 50-foot wave raged into the cove, destroying everything in its path. They stood on the crest and cried together as the old man's family home collapsed into the blaze. Yet they laughed together too, for what good is a house and the countless things that fill it if that home is empty of love and of friends?
Thank you. And lastly, consider the house. Behold the world's first 20-year painting, unveiled today for the very first time. Now, you can't see inside the house now, but in the augmented reality experience, you do. And each day as you look at this painting, or each week as you experience this painting, you get to know the couple who live in this home. And over time, you love them as their life's journey becomes part of your life's journey in an unfolding drama that takes literally 20 years to fully experience. It's the first of its kind. This painting will grow old with you. Augmented reality. We're just getting started, and it's already the ultimate love story between the arts and technology. Get ready for a meaningful and magical future. Thank you.